Okay, time for a little show and tell. So, recently I just took a knife making class, my first knife making class. As you know, I like to make things out of metal. I like to forge. I've always wanted to make a knife, but that's one of those things where it seemed like a really daunting task. And while I'm a huge fan of the whole saying, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly, I figured I would take the time to actually learn it the right way the first time. So I took my first knife making class. It's actually bladesmithing, so there's a bit of a difference between knife making and bladesmithing. You have, in one case, you can make a knife where you just take a hunk of metal, you basically draw out your design, and then you grind it down. But that's not what I did. What I'm doing is bladesmithing, where basically you forge a knife. So you actually have to heat it up and hammer it into shape. I've seen many examples of people posting pictures of their first knives ever made online. And mine, I have to admit, mine actually didn't come out too bad. So here it is. Ta-da! So I made this out of a piece of 1080 high carbon steel. I was originally going to go with a different design, a different blade shape, but I guess during the forging process, it started to form this curve, and I kind of went, fuck it, let me just roll with this. I like this design. Kind of reminds me of like a curved sword, like a scimitar, shamshir. Really slicey. And I have a simple paracord wrap here for a handle. Nothing too fancy. Took quite a while. I mean, it was a class, took pretty much the whole day. Started out with a simple metal bar. Pretty decent thickness. I got a nice distal taper on here. Not perfect, but a hell of a lot better than I thought it would have turned out. I mean, I could have just tried to make my first knife on my own, and it probably would have taken me like 10 tries to get to this point. So I figured instead of making multiple crappy knives, I might as well learn how to do it from somebody who actually knows what they're doing. Learn to do it right the first time. Save me a whole lot of time and just take weeks, months, maybe even years off my learning curve. But I have to say, I'm actually pretty satisfied with the way this came out. I mean, this is probably just going to be a tool. I think the only real thing I probably could have done better is if I brought this out a little more, because I feel like it's not quite a substantial guard here. I don't have a great amount of protection. I mean, if I were to thrust this into something, I would almost certainly, my hand would be at risk of slipping up onto the blade. So I absolutely would not want to thrust with this thing. But it's perfect as a tool, perfect for just slicing and chopping things up. And I would have liked to bring the handle out a little bit more. I think if I ever I will make another knife for sure. But I think for our next one, I want to focus on having a more substantial guard here, as well as bring this handle out a little more and maybe have it hook around my hand to kind of secure that, give it a more secure grip, really help to lock it in the hand. I think the trickiest part was forging down that point. Because sometimes when you try to forge a point, it kind of has a tendency to want to form these fish lips And if you do that, if you keep doing that, if you don't address that problem, you'll end up with a cold shut, which is basically, it's not good. So let me see. I just sharpened this thing a little bit more. Let's see how this thing performs. Not bad. And then it should, not sure if it's picking that up very well. Oh yeah, you can see, I hope you can see that. As you can see, it's quite sharp. Cuts quite well. All in all, I'm pretty pleased with this. This will be the first of many. This is quite a milestone for me, so it's something I'm very proud of. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, so I figured I'd show you guys. So yeah, that's my new knife. Hopefully the first of many. And also, this thing, I'm sure this thing is built to last. This thing will probably be around longer, far longer than I will. Maybe I'll pass this down to my niece, my nephew. This will be around long after I've gone. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that today. That's all I have for now, so take care.